seen kids like drinking and smoking and like taking pills and stuff.
There is a big drug issue in my eyes, like there's too much of it going on.
I want to get out of here as soon as I can, to be honest. I don't like St Helens.
I'm not from around here myself, but the comparison to where I lived here, the homelessness and people on the streets and the trouble is massive.
If this carry on shops closing down, like each shops are closing down, don't be like a ghost town.
It's dying on its feet, sadly. Yeah, in my opinion, it's dying a slow death.
St Helens was once a proud industrial coal and glass town, but over the years with collapses of factories like Pilkington's Glass, the town has faced many social issues like poverty, crime, unemployment and homelessness, and I'm going to find out what exactly has happened to my town.
A working class town, and there was a lot of work from St Helens with Pilkington.
Busier, shops are busier, more shops here, more variation, less scruffy.
A great place to live. You know, people help one another then. If you're short of a cup of sugar, somebody'd lend you one, or half a loaf. You could knock on anybody's door, you know, and they'd see you all right. Because times was hard after, like I say, after the war years. So it was a brilliant place to live, and I call it God's little acre.
It's got progressively worse in both cases, with the homeless and with the shops closing, probably because people are buying online.
What have they done? They let pills be bought out, UGB, Rockwood, other big companies have gone out of town. But look around now, the shops are closed here. Rubbish.
To get a more detailed view of how St Helens has changed in the past, I'm going to speak to a family friend, Gaynor Hoyland, who has lived and worked in St Helens for most of her life. How are you doing? Are you alright?
Yeah, you.
Yeah,
come
good.
in.
Thank you. So Gaynor, you've lived and worked here since you were 16 years old, is that right?
Yeah, well, I probably moved here when I was about, good lord, about 8, 9, so about over 40 years I've lived in St.
And what was it like when you first arrived and working here?
Well, I started working in a newsagents when I was 16. That was my first job. I just left school. Really busy. The shop was busy all the time. The market was buzzing. We had all, you know, Toys R Us. I think it was called Preston's. There was everything. And I think because a lot of the shops, the hours were 9 to 5.
Right.
Or till 6. So once 6 o'clock come, everywhere was shut. We didn't do Sunday opening hours. We didn't do bank holidays.
So it was really busy throughout the week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then what was nightlife like? Because I know that you like to go out.
Yeah. Do you know what? The nightlife was fantastic. You'd have to pre-book a taxi. You couldn't ring up and go, can you have a taxi now? You'd have to, you know, a couple of hours ahead. You'd often walk home from St Helens because you couldn't get a taxi. The pubs were packed. You queued to get in them sometimes. You were queuing to get in the bar. There was always a big buzz. I used to love going around St Helens. Never went anywhere else. We'd always used to do coach trips to like the Palace and Peppermint Place and somewhere in Wigan. There was always something happening every couple of weeks and somebody's always get a coach trip up.
It's hard to believe that now, isn't it, looking at the town? So where do you think that it all went wrong?
When it was a miners' strike. Can't remember the exact date, but we were always busy, and once the miners' strike happened, obviously people didn't have any money. Then you started seeing a decline in St Helens. The market started going empty. Shops started shutting. The shop I worked in eventually closed down because it just went really quiet. It went from being constantly busy to hardly any customers, losing a lot of money. When the market stalls were shutting and shops were shutting, people were coming in and saying, well, it's pointless me coming round St Helens. I'm going to shop elsewhere because you're shutting. Market shut. We used to have butchers and all your local shops, everything like that, and it started killing trade off, and I think that's what's killed St Helens really, and it's sad. It's declined.
And now,
quite a lot.
what does St Helens look like? It's just unrecognisable, I guess, from what it was like in the past.
You go around St Helens now, there's pound shops, 99p shops, second-hand shops, that's it. And then one of the big hotels that used to be Shalom Court, where you could go and have a great night out on a Saturday night, been around for years, that's shut down. That's going to be shutting down as well.
So my final question would be, if St Helens carries on going the way it is now, what's the future going to be like?
Nothing. No, there's nothing. I feel sorry for the kids. I feel sorry for the young ones. I mean, I've gone around St Helens partying for a long, long time, but to me now, it's not somewhere I enjoy going out. I go out around St Helens. I don't really enjoy it. I don't like it. It's gone awful. The pubs are terrible. It's for the young ones. It's not because I'm older. I just think now you're getting to a certain age, there's nowhere to go, and I'm going to start going out, pubbing and clubbing. Even if I go shopping, I hardly go to St Helens. If I've got to get something specific, I'll go to Manchester or Liverpool, because there's nothing here. They've just killed it. St Helens is just a dead town. It's empty. It's sad, really.
I think Gayness just hit the nail on the head when she spoke about how young people are the real victims here. But what do the young people of St Helens actually want to see in the town?
Bowling, more sports, running, activities. We need a trampoline park in the town centre. Yeah. Something to do.
We want pubs, like pubs for everyone, young ages, old ages, so we can just party with them all.
Definitely more shops, maybe put an area in, like, where teenagers can go and stuff.
Tournaments, youth clubs, that kind of thing. There's not many around here anymore. There were quite a few shut down when I was younger.
I'd like events, so maybe events in the middle of town where like maybe all the younger generation can all like come in and maybe sing some songs and stuff like that, or a little concert or a little fair.
Just like parks and stuff like that, because when I was a kid there wasn't many parks around. Like you always had to trek like quite a while to get to a park and stuff like that, and that's why we always got in trouble, because there was never anything to do.
Like there's not enough things for kids to do. Like they obviously mourn about obesity and stuff, but there's nothing to like help produce it.
I'm here at St Helens Town Hall, and I'm going to interview Gary Maddock, the St Helens Town Centre manager, and I'm going to ask him what exactly has happened to my town and what his plans are for the future. Hi Gary. Okay, so Gary, can you tell me what your role is in the town centre?
Yeah, my role is to work with various businesses, partner organisations for the development of St Helens Town Centre. And it's in terms of now is that obviously we've got exciting plans in terms of the town centre in order to drive them forward, not just the council, but in terms of working in partnership with all the different people that has an involvement within the town centre.
Right, and my first proper question is, are you happy with the town as it is now?
I think the simple answer is no. We have readily aware of many of the issues that we need to address. And as I said, is that what we're seeking to do is to get the town centre not necessarily fit for purpose for now, but for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Right. And why is it that the town has struggled so much in the last years, like in the last 10 years, for example, to get good shops? Because the people I've spoken to complain there's not enough shops and there's not enough variety, and they say there's just too much Poundlands, betting shops, charity shops. Why is that?
I think one of the reasons is that there has been from a council point of view, is that there's a lack of ownership and a lack of control. And I think other than our legislative powers through planning and licensing, we didn't have that, because if you don't own something, then there's very little that you can actually do. So what we've done is that we've took back control. So our first acquisition was Church Square Shopping Centre late last year, and that will provide us a huge opportunity in terms of remodelling the town centre physically, but also in terms of us making the decisions in terms of who comes into the town centre and who doesn't. And that's a real key important element in terms of getting the right retail offer for the town centre. Retail is just going to be one component part of visiting the town centre, be it if you're a visitor or you're a local resident, because things have changed. We need to have more leisure side of things. So where do you go to eat, drink, spend time with the family? We need to look at that whole part of the package, and retail just forms one part of that. Yeah. And as I said, I think that things are dramatically changing. I think in terms of the shopping parks, those are, I think, to some degree, a mistake of previous years in terms of allowing retail parks to happen in terms of those way at the detriment of the town centre.
Okay, so you talked about trying to bring in more leisure into the town. Another common complaint is the bars and the pubs for older people. There's not enough entertainment for adults, and that the pubs have like closed over the years. And I've heard that there was like coaches that used to come to St Helens just to come to the nightlife, and now young people who I've spoken to complain about knives, drugs, just general trouble in the streets like Westfield Street. Are you working to change that?
Yeah, as I said, the nighttime economy and daytime economy in terms of the bars is an important element of the economy of the town centre as a whole. We work very closely with the nighttime economy through the bars and pub owners. And as I said, we're seeking to address it. I think one of the, I said you're right to say in terms of some of the, we've had a number of high profile unfortunate incidents that have taken place, which has exacerbated the issue further. I think the what we need to be doing and what we are doing is seeking to. There will always be a market for a younger age group and an area for it in bars. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to change that demographic. The more that we can prove to people and businesses and with investors, both independent and large chains in terms of that offer, the better it will come and it starts to snowball. But we're seeing the seeds and we're seeing the fruits, in terms of that and in terms of new businesses coming in. We want to change the variety, we want to raise the level, the quality side of things in terms of food and drink as a particular, because again, not necessarily just for the family market which we're seeking to attract, but also, as I said, daytime and nighttime economy.
And that's great that you say that, because even personally for me, if I want to go shopping or something to eat, and like many of my friends, family and people I spoke to on the streets, everybody goes to neighbouring towns and cities, bringing money out of the town. And that must be detrimental to the local economy. It
is detrimental, and I think that's what I said, is that you don't have to, St Helens is a great place to get to, but it's also a great place to get out of in some ways, because we've got other places surrounding us. So we need to convince that this is a good place to do business, to make it an easy place to do business, and work with as I said, independents and nationals to provide the opportunity, because there is real opportunity here, particularly in terms of food and drink.
My final question is, where do you see St Helens in about 5 to 10 years? What's the best case scenario?
I think in terms of the next 5 to 10 years that we'll have a physically different looking town centre, as I said, with the planned developments in terms of remodelling of the town centre. I think that we'll see a more independent business, because it's a core part of any town or city, but I think it really gives character and profile. I think our arts and culture is increasing year on year in terms of it, and I think that we'll have large developments in that particular area, which again will seek to attract people not necessarily just from St Helens, but from a wider field, northwest and potentially nationally. And I think that we'll see a place where people can come to do business in St Helens, and through the partnerships through the public sector and the private sector and the third sector, is that will make it happen.
Yeah, well Gary, I really hope that does happen, and we'll come back in 5 to 10 years to see if it does.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for talking to me today.
Yeah, no problem at all.
All right, so that's it. I've just spoke to Gary Maddock, the St Helens Town Centre manager, and he told me that he's already planted the seeds for St Helens' future. The council has taken back control of the town, and Gary informs me that he believes that the town will change in the next 5 to 10 years and become a flourishing, attractive town for business people and for the people who live here. And let's hope that he's right.